In 2004, German designer Rainer Knizia created Blue Moon, which is a two-player head-to-head card-based game where each player represents a people of Blue Moon City, and they're fighting over control of three elemental dragons. But basically, the game goes back and forth, and you're trying to play meet or play a higher number than your opponent has. It's a Knizia game, so it's heavily mathematical, one of the things that he's known for. But it's also a fantastic game. One of my favorite two-player games, and I've had it for almost 10 years. I think I bought it when it first came out over here. It was published in the U.S. by Fantasy Flight Games in conjunction with Cosmos. It's got the Cosmos on my box here, but also the Fantasy Flight logo down here. I'm not exactly sure what the arrangement was, but it's important to know because Fantasy Flight this year just came out with Blue Moon Legends, which is a reprint of the entire Blue Moon game, all of the different decks that were available originally, and how these came out when back in 2004 when the game first came out. To get the extra decks of cards, you had to buy them. They released each different people's deck separately, all in one box. There's nothing collectible about Blue Moon. You got all the cards, in the box, but you did have to go out and buy them all. And so now you've got Blue Moon Legends, where you can get everything that was ever released, including there's one deck that never came out here in America, as far as I know, the Buka Invasion deck. There were also some promotional cards that were hard to get a hold of if you didn't live in Europe or travel to a lot of conventions. So it's nice to have everything in one box. I'm not here today though to review Blue Moon Legends. Instead, I'm going to compare and contrast the components from the original version and this new release that just came out and tell you what I think. So let's take a look. Okay. So as a card game, most of what you're going to get out of this box, unsurprisingly, is cards. There's hundreds of cards in Blue Moon Legends, and I'm going to show you a couple of them from the old game compared to the same exact card in the new version. Now here on the left, you've got the original card from original Blue Moon release in 2004, and on the right is the new Blue Moon Legends version of the same card. Now immediately, the first thing that is obvious is the size of the cards. New cards are much smaller. The original Blue Moon were large tarot-sized cards, very nice. But obviously I have to assume to keep costs down, Fantasy Flight made the call, and I'm sure it was a tough call. Slim the cards down, make them cheaper to print, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with these cards, and I want to say this up front. Fantasy Flight did an excellent job of getting all the information on the cards in the new version. Everything is there. It scans easily, visually. It plays exactly the same as original Blue Moon. However, I really like the original cards a lot better. The biggest reason is just that now Blue Moon as a whole is filled with tons and tons of awesome artwork. I went to school and studied art. I'm an art guy, and I like really good art in my games. And as you can see here, the biggest loss in going with a smaller size and some of the other formatting that Fantasy Flight went with in Blue Moon Legends is that a lot of the art gets cropped out. And you can see this guy here. You just basically get his head and the top of his torso in the new version. You can see much more of the art on the original card. I like the original card, but like I said, there's no loss in playability. If you never played or didn't have the original version of Blue Moon, what's in Blue Moon Legends is just fine. And it's not going to hinder your ability to play or enjoy the game, whatsoever. But let's look at the cards in a little more detail here now. One thing that I really liked in the original Blue Moon are the iconography of the game. And Blue Moon Legends retains it. Here we have, this guy's got a special icon called Shields, which you see behind the two numbers there. And then below that is the stop icon. And there's several special ability icons in Blue Moon. And in the original Blue Moon, it had neat artwork. And of course, the larger card size helps to put nice, full color artwork for all these icons right on the card. But over here on the new version, you can see that Fantasy Flight has made the call to replace the original icons, the fully colored artistic icons with black silhouettes, solid black. You can still see the stop icon down there, the hand, easily distinguishable for what it is. The shields are easily distinguishable for what they are, so that's all fine. It's a change that I'm not a huge fan of. It works. It is what it is. Over here, the other thing that I enjoy on the original Blue Moon is that the special power text on cards is overlaid on top of the artwork. You still get the art behind it in most cases, whereas Fantasy Flight has made the decision to put a big blank box behind their text on the new version with an ornate frame. Fantasy Flight, they go all out with these cards. Sometimes I think they overwork the cards in terms of artwork. You can see the crazy spiny, framing around this guy's name and stuff. And it's nice. It's good artwork. It's cool and everything, but it all takes away from what's going on with the art of the card. And I kind of like how the original version pretty much put the art forward and worked around it instead of putting all these, you've got this is a character card and it's got its own little frame that says character right there up the side. Big white space behind it and framing. Down here, the flavor text is in its own big frame, and so are the deck indicator and symbols and stuff at the bottom. Whereas you look over here on the original and it's just kind of overlaid, really out of the way, kind of, subtle, much more subtle, and lets you see a lot more of the artwork. And it's just two different design philosophies. But, that's what we have on the cards here. And I've got another pairing here to show you. Here is the Battling Boomerang. And if you've played a lot of Blue Moon, you know that this card is one that can give you fits. It's got the retrieve icon, little picture of a card with a green arrow coming off of it. And then over here on the new one, you can see that, it's just a little black silhouette of an arrow. One thing I will say about these cards that I do like is the numbers, the fire and earth element numbers on the Fantasy Flight one. I like the circular frame with the flames kind of whipping around the frame up above them, and the earth has kind of a thorny growth with a green background. That's neat. Over on the original one, it's a fiery number and then sort of a dirt and grass looking number for the earth. One of those were cool too, but Fantasy Flight did a good job on that, despite everything else that I kind of wish they had left alone on the cards so that the art could come forward a little more. That's a neat thing. Okay, next thing I'm going to compare is the actual board. This board just sits between both players, and it's got areas for your draw deck, your discards, your active cards, your support area, leader cards, all that stuff. It's almost exactly the same in both versions. The new Fantasy Flight version, Blue Moon Legends, is up top. Original is below it. And I've really got nothing to really say about this. I like both versions. They're, they do their jobs. And for all intents and purposes, they're pretty identical. This is one area though. Well, I will say I like the framing that Fantasy Flight put into the new board. I like that. That kind of fits because it's not really taken away from anything, and it's got a lot of cool art and illustration around it. They look nice. On the original one, it was just sort of a little colored area, with the text right in there. Which was fine too, but I do like I like what they've done with the new board. There's almost no difference though, so I don't prefer one over the other in case of the board here. All right, so one of the nice components of the original Blue Moon, you're fighting over control of these 3 dragons in the game, and the game did come with these nice plastic miniature dragons, which are cool. There's a blue one, a red one, and a green one. I don't know if the video looks a little greener for the green dragon on the right there, but if you look at him in person, it's almost more of a sort of a turquoise color than a real green, but that's supposed to be a green dragon there. But they're good. They were nice, and they're used as sort of scoring markers throughout the game. You're handling them a lot, and they serve their purpose. They're good. However, the new dragons are fantastic. This is far and away the best thing out of the box when comparing old and new Blue Moon. See, the green dragon is green, the blue dragon, the red dragon, and each one has a unique sculpt, and they're big. Their wings are out. They're fantastic. They're amazing. They're great. Tons and tons of detail. Fantasy Flight, of course, known for their lovely miniatures, and they really, definitely, carry the ball into the end zone as far as these dragons go. These are great. I could not be happier with the quality here. Blows away the original version. The original dragons were nice. These are amazing. So the dragons, yeah, I know I beat up the new version, Blue Moon Legends, for their cards a little bit. I don't like the cards as much as the original. These dragons are great. I'll play Blue Moon with my original cards, and I'll use these dragons every time, just because they're just gorgeous. It's almost worth the price of buying this, even if you have all the Blue Moon stuff, just for these dragons. And there's a couple other things too. So let me gonna move on here. All right. So one thing that's new on Blue Moon Legends, this is kind of like just a nice little extra in the game. If you're not familiar with it, you're gonna play a number of battles over the course of the game, and each time a new battle begins, the person who starts it is going to choose whether you're fighting in the element of fire or the element of earth. Yeah, most of the cards have a fire value and an earth value, and depending on what you're fighting in, that's the number you're going to be looking at for the duration of that fight. And this version came with this cool double-sided card, and basically the person who starts a fight will flip it over to the element that you're fighting in, which is a helpful little reminder card. And it's neat. I've got no problem with this. It does its job. It's cool, thematic, and it really does add to the game. You don't have to, if you got a fight that goes on over several turns, and maybe you've forgotten, maybe the element has flipped a couple times, as it can do in this game. As long as you're keeping up with this, you don't need to ask, hey, what are we fighting in again? I can't remember, because that might happen with this game, and it's just a neat addition. Okay, and lastly, another cool addition that they didn't need to put into the box, but they did, are these crystals. And Blue Moon does have a way to play the game where you can play over a series of games, and the winner gets a number of crystals based on how many dragons he has in front of him at the end of the game. +1 basically is how that works, and there might be a couple other things if you're playing constructed that might get you extra crystals. But basically, if you play that way, you're going to play to 5 crystals, so you might play 2 or 3 games before somebody has that many crystals. And you just basically have these to keep track, and they're neat, they're nice, they're pretty typical gaming crystals. I know I bought some actually for Blue Moon at Gen Con several years ago just to use, and these are virtually identical, but it's nice that they're in the box, so you've got those in there to use if you want to, and they're very thematic and add quite a bit to the game. So it's a nice touch, definitely. All right, and here's a look at the inside of the box. Typical Fantasy Flight fare here. It's got the big piece of cardboard with the trench down the middle. One thing, I always wish that Fantasy Flight will one of these days step up and put a nice plastic insert in there. Games like this could really benefit from that. We've seen a lot of heavy card-based games like Dominion and Trains come out in the last several years that do that, and it adds to the value that you feel like you get out of the games. But for whatever reason, no matter what kind of game it is, I think every Fantasy Flight big box game I've bought for a long time has had this exact same piece of cardboard in there, and usually I'll just throw that away, and I'll probably do that with this so I can fit in all my original Blue Moon stuff. But you can stand the cards up, rubber band them, whatever. Definitely it's not going to ruin the cards. Nothing's going to shake around in there, so it serves its purpose, but it could be better, I think. All right, so there's my my comparison of old Blue Moon and new Blue Moon Legends. Same exact game. As I said, the cards, I like the old ones better. Everything else about Blue Moon Legends is either the same or better. So it's an excellent effort by Fantasy Flight here, and I'm really, really happy to see that Blue Moon has been revived for new audiences. Hopefully it will be more widespread now. It's nice that people can buy everything that ever came out for Blue Moon in one box, because even people who were buying it back in 2004 when it was originally released, a lot of that, especially the later people sets that came out, they were kind of hard to get a hold of, limited runs and stuff. And so I know that they were fetching pretty high prices online, up to pretty recently. So it's nice to get everything in one box. And it's nice to have a second set of Blue Moon stuff too. So now I've got enough here to run 2 games consecutively. I can use one box for deck building and one for pre-constructed basic play to introduce the game to people, which is likely what I'm going to do. But if you have Blue Moon City, which is the continuation of the Blue Moon saga, this is also an excellent game, also by Reiner Knizia. It is a 2 to 4 player game about all the peoples of Blue Moon coming together to rebuild the city after the war that happens in the Blue Moon game. It comes with those same exact 3 dragons as in the original Blue Moon, and I'll tell you straight up that I will be playing Blue Moon City with the new dragons every time now, and I'll be happy about that because, like I said, they're fantastic. They're great. I got no complaints. Blue Moon Legends is a fantastic package. It's a great value for what you get out of the box. It is less expensive than what I paid to get all the Blue Moon stuff originally when it was first in stores. And there's more in there than what it was even available here in stores. So if you're on the fence about it, if you're not sure, Blue Moon is a great game, as I said, but pick it up. There's nothing really that is wrong with it. Even though I don't like the cards compared to the old cards, there's no playability loss with them. Fantasy Flight did a great job on redesigning all the cards. It's a good package, so there you go.